Ephesians 3:16 through 18 that says, I pray that from his glorious unlimited resources, he will empower you with inner strength through his Spirit. Then Christ will make his home in your hearts as you trust in him. Your roots will grow down into God's love and keep you strong. And may you have the power to understand, as all God's people should, how wide, how long, how high, and how deep his love is. And today, I'm just grateful for I'm grateful for God's love. I'm grateful for I'm grateful for my wife today, y'all. It's my wife's birthday, and I don't know if you truly believe in soulmates, but my wife is honestly my soulmate, and I'm just so happy that that God gave me her, and I'm truly just grateful for my wife today. In this particular verse, um, I've read this. I would say honestly, in this group over the past few years, I've read this maybe about 3, 4 times. Um, can't exactly say why bookmark. Could save it again this time. Sorry, guys. Um, but this particular this particular verse, um, sorry, um, it always stood out to me, and it always had some sort of deep meaning to me, right? Because God reminds us. Well, Apostle Paul speaking about it. Reminds us about of so many things inside here, because what I love about Apostle Paul is that he made very strong points, right? Like he would make these bold statements and go against like the contrary belief, or like he would just say things that would sort of resonate with you, and you could tell, because he said these things, you know uh, close to 2,000 years ago, and they still it's a living word. You still it still becomes applicable to our lives. It still is something that like sort of moves in us when we read it. And he says in this particular verse, he says, I pray that from his glorious unlimited resources he will empower you with inner strength through his Spirit, right? And in that particular verse, um he tells us not only about the unlimited resources that God has, right? But something that he says here stood out. He says he prays that he will empower you with inner strength through his Spirit. And think about that. He already tells you that God has unlimited resources, right? And he could have said, I pray that God gives you this, or I pray that God gives you that. But what he prayed for was for God to give you the inner strength. Because with that inner strength that you have, and with the faith tied into that, and your belief in Christ Jesus along with that, there's nothing that you can't accomplish. You can't, yourself isn't limited. You see? Like the Apostle Paul was reminding us that when God plants that inner strength inside us, that inner strength is what is get stuff done. That inner strength is the go getter. That inner strength is what pushes us every day to get up and just be um, the best that we could be, and just go out there and serve him and do his will, and at the same time accomplish all of our dreams and goals at the same time. You know, he said that when he gives you the inner strength, right? He tells us that Christ will make a home in your hearts as you trust in him. And you know, all it is really is you have to make your heart a safe space for Christ. Your home, your body, your temple, it have to be a safe space for Christ. And the way that you do that is by taking care of it, taking care of your mind, taking care of your body, taking care of where you want Christ to live. You don't want Christ to live in a dirty home, so you have to get rid of those thoughts. Though if you feel malice towards someone, or jealousy, or angry, or lust, or any of these thoughts, you have to clean house. You can't invite Christ to live and dwell inside you when your house ain't clean. You mad with somebody over something petty. You refuse to forgive someone for something that they did. Like, you can't invite Christ to live in that home, because he ain't gonna be comfortable there. Because that ain't the way, that ain't his ways. That ain't his truth. That ain't his light. And then also what the Apostle Paul tells us, and he tells us that your roots will grow down into God's love and keep you strong. And may you have the power to understand, as all God's people should, how wide, how long, how high, and how deep his love is. And all that basically telling us everyone is this one simple lesson right here. As you grow towards Christ and you grow with closer to your relationship to God, his roots can grow deeper down in you. Remember now, the tree is grow up, but the roots is grow down. The roots is what grows and gives us, no matter how high that tree grows, like those roots have to spread in order to give that tree a firm foundation. The reason why you see storms wouldn't affect them, a tree could withstand whatever. He could go through all the seasons. The tree could go through fall and summer. He could go through a hurricane and everything. And at the end of the day, he still would have the opportunity and the ability to bear fruit. And you know why? That's because of his roots and where that tree was planted. Where his roots go is what determine how strong that tree can be, how healthy that tree can be, you know? So just remember that as you give your life to Christ, right? You have a certain power that God has put inside you, like the Apostle Paul tells us here. You know, God has empowered you, but you have to make sure that when you invite God inside of you, that you invite God into a few things, into a clean home, number one. And then you also invite God with the opportunity to grow inside you. Get into the word, learn, be open to your spirituality and to your relationship with God. Ask God to fill you with his love and his grace and his mercy. Don't go into it half stepping, because at the end of the day, as your tree grows, you want God's roots to grow deeper inside you. The deeper his roots grow into you, the stronger your tree grows and the more fruit you can bear. So thank you everyone for the opportunity to speak. I honestly don't want to stay too long because I really